Wet grinding your dirt racing Hoosiers with Simple Green, not a good idea for the Chili Bowl, but there's another series where you probably shouldn't do it either. We'll talk about that today. Plus, the All-Star field grows to 10 teams, some schedule updates, and more. Let's go. It's Tuesday, February 18th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. If you'd like to get some dirt racing content delivered right to your email inbox, don't forget about our free email newsletter, The Slider. It wasn't that long ago that I sent out an interview piece with POWRi's Talon Turner, and I've got another interview with a sprint car driver ready to send here very soon. If you'd like to sign up and peruse past issues of The Slider, you can head over to dirttracker.com/The Slider. There is all sorts of good reading in there from some really great contributors. And that's a key point here. This isn't me writing. This is all sorts of other people. So you're going to hear from some different voices, some different names, things like that. And a side note, if you'd like to reach several thousand readers with your own writing, hit me up. I'm always looking for new writers and writers to come back. And I do pay for any submissions we end up using. But again, head over to dirttracker.com/The Slider and sign up. I'll send out that fresh interview here later this week. Going back to January and all that tire testing at the Chili Bowl, if you might remember, Clinton Boyles was one of the drivers busted for a failed tire test, and he was DQ'd from action on Saturday. In the aftermath, he did a video for Flow Racing where he spoke directly with event tech director Cody Cordell about the whole situation and kind of what happened, what went down. Boyles revealed that weeks in advance, he had done some wet grinding on the tires using the cleaner Simple Green. They were then put away for use later on, obviously at the Chili Bowl. He and Cordell talked about how that process when using cleaners like Simple Green can get guys busted on those tests for doped tires. That grinding with whatever chemical reaction happens between the tire surface and the cleaners, it doesn't have a big effect like some other chemical alterations certainly can, but it does take the tire sample far enough away from the benchmark that it does come back up as failed. We don't know exactly what happened with Hunter Schurenberg's failed test and Sam Johnson's, but I did appreciate and respect the honesty and transparency from both Boyles and Cordell in that moment. Boyles was certainly under no obligation to talk about it, but he did that anyway. And I bring all of this up because a racing series made a change to their tire rules not that long ago, and it would appear as though what happened at the Chili Bowl maybe played a role in adding extra terminology. Before DIRTRACKR National started, the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series put out a rules bulletin regarding tires and tire testing to, quote, clear up language in that section. And I had missed this because we were kind of deep in on that gambling rules bulletin, and these two bulletins kind of came out right near each other. If you are curious, tires are covered in Section 10 of the World of Outlaws rulebook, which you can find at dirtcar.com/rules. There were a couple of additions and clarifications in there, with, among other things, it being noted that, quote, tire samples sent for analysis must match the benchmark provided to the laboratory by Hoosier Tire as determined by the laboratory. That just added some specificity to that particular rule. I think most everybody kind of already knew and understood this. But also in that Section 10, subsection B, verbiage was added about wet grinding. That full sentence now reads, chemical alteration of the tread carcass and or tread compound, such as tire soaking and or the introduction of tread softener and or wet grinding with any liquid and or the physical defacement, removal, altering and or covering of tire sidewall markings in any manner will not be permitted. If a tire failed under the previous verbiage for this, it was still a failed test, but for those looking through the rules, this does give a proper warning about this technique and obviously not to do it. And I don't know specifically if these changes were in response to an actual situation that happened with the sprint cars, maybe within the last year or so, but for this verbiage to be added not long after Chili Bowl, it certainly makes me think there is at least some connection here. The same language, it was not added to the late model rulebook. Might be curious there, but remember, they do still have that section regarding washing and spraying tires within 3 hours of a race starting. They also still have that crazy swimming pool mention. If you might remember, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but there was this big thing about both late model series putting out a rule that says that you can't dunk your tires in containers such as swimming pools. You also can't heat them up and cool them down with refrigerators and stuff like that. But anyway, that's all in there. It's still in there. So if you're going to race with the World of Outlaws sprint cars anytime soon, don't wet grind your tires with Simple Green. That will get you DQ'd here as well, just like it did at the Chili Bowl. I don't believe we've had anyone busted here recently for tire doping. I think the last one with the Outlaws was James McFadden and Roth Motorsports during that 2023 season. I hope we keep this streak up. I don't really want to see people busted for doped tires. Sticking with sprint cars, in recent days, the new look All-Star Circuit of Champions grew their full-time list to 10 with the addition of 2024 Butler Motor Speedway track champion Van Gurley Jr. The rest of that All-Star roster includes Devin Borden, Caleb Henry, Cody Bova, Aiden Price, Justin Clark, Darren Nida, Bobby Elliott, Brandon Spithaller, and Leighton Wagner. We're still about 6 weeks away from the start of the All-Star season at Attica. Things kick off April 11th and 12th. Offhand, I'd call Henry the championship favorite here. He was definitely on fire last year, won a ton of races. Devin Borden, I think, will be in the mix if he can turn things around from what was kind of a miserable 2024 with the Stamen team in central Pennsylvania. I like Spithaller as well. He had 8 wins a year ago. I'll be curious to see who else Rich Farmer can sign up for this deal. The top 2 Ohio drivers from last year were Cap Henry and Cale Thomas. Henry, obviously, not committed here, at least not yet. And as far as I know, Cale Thomas doesn't even have a ride after departing the Jay Kaiser 23 after last season. The Kaiser car, on the flip side, also still doesn't have a driver, although I don't know how eager Jay is to actually fill the seat. There's been some interesting rumblings about that team in the last several weeks. Still a lot of other names in that area who could find their way onto this tour, help fill that roster. We will continue to keep you updated on these regional tours as we get closer. FAST has continued to add a couple of names, and the IRA roster is starting to fill out as well. In some schedule news, we've already lost some races that were supposed to happen this coming weekend. The Tuckasee Toilet Bowl Classic at Clarksville Speedway, it is off because of cold temps and winter weather. Clarksville, they're going to try and run the event the following weekend, but it seems as though the reschedule will end up being unsanctioned. Originally, this was on the Southern Thunder Super Dirt Series calendar, but they shared to social media that they won't be a part of the reschedule because of not being able to work around dates and find a suitable makeup. The Southern Thunder Series is back March 15th at Lancaster. Clarksville will now run Super Late Models next Friday, the 28th. They're going to have $2,500 to win for that one, and then next Saturday, March 1st, for $7,500 to win. So that's the rescheduled dates. A full program for other divisions is also joining the Super Late Models. With this event off, that leaves $15,000 to win for Crate Late Models at Hendry County and the Southern All-Stars at Buckshot Speedway for $5,000 to win. Those are basically your only other dirt late model options coming up this week. Corey Hedgecock took the SAS opener at I-75 a few weeks ago. This series working through its first season under the control of Ray Cook. That's your daily show for today. If you know of someone who is hard of hearing and that they would still like to check out the show, they can still do that even without watching or listening. You can actually find full show transcripts over at DIRTRACKR.com/daily. Individual show pages there include the full script plus links to podcast pages. You can actually listen to the audio there as well. And I know I have some folks who just prefer reading it, so if that's you as well, you can certainly check those pages out. I hope you guys have a great Monday out there. We will see you right back here tomorrow.